Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It's great to have you here. And today we're going to be looking at the aspect of our roadmap for life. Because in the J-Dubs, our roadmap was a little carrot dangled in front of us called paradise or something similar. But as we know, when we get out of the J-Dubs, that carrot disappears. So what can we do? Is there a reason to have a roadmap for our lives? Well, today we're going to be talking to Lee. He's going to help us to look at the aspect of roadmaps in our lives. Welcome, Lee, to the live stream.
Hi, thanks for having me. What a great day.
What is the weather like there?
It's beautiful. We're going to be pushing about 25 here pretty close, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, so that's Celsius as well. So yeah, it's gearing up to be a beautiful day. Not too many clouds in the sky, so looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully we'll get into some warmer weather today as well. But anyway, roadmaps, Lee. I know when if I was to leave my place here in New Zealand, Palmerston North, to travel up to Auckland, I know how to get there, but if I was to detour and do something else, I might need a roadmap to get back on track or take a different course. Is that the same for our lives?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially after leaving the witnesses, the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's very important to, because it's such a confusing time. And such an emotional roller coaster. And I do believe a lot of people have to take that roller coaster. But once you get your bearings back, it's important to really take a good look at your life and to see what direction you want to go and what very things are holding you back inside yourself that would stop you from going there. So that's the first thing you'd have to look at in beginning to build a roadmap.
Do you think they're essential?
Absolutely.
Roadmaps?
I do, because if you don't have a course of direction, obviously you're going to be lost, and you could stay lost. You might stumble across another trail, but it might not be the one that resonates with your heart either.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go to the start. We've just come out of the J-Dubs, or we may have been out for a little while, and we've just realized what we were part of. So what could be one of the first steps that we could take to help us, once we've worked through a number of things, to start looking at the roadmap for our life?
I would start with really thinking about your end goal, because if you have an end goal in place, then it's easier to start to build the roadmap. So, if you like, to me, it's confusing for people, like if they want to continue in a life of religion, or if they want to exclude it completely further out of their life. It just depends on what resonates in your heart and what makes you happy. And so that's where I would start. I would just start with what, and that could change down the road, which is, the further you educate yourself on your end goal and how you want to get there, then you can start building the foundation of how to get there. So when you have an end goal in mind, you start to make those choices that support that end goal, and you don't always have to jump in headfirst altogether. I think it's a good idea to make small, consistent, smart choices every day, and that support your end goal, where you want to be, your destination, I guess you could say, if we're talking about roadmaps. And then if you practice those small, consistent changes every day to support your end goal, then it'll compound into a bigger, a well laid out roadmap, I guess.
Okay, so that's a good first step. End goal. What if we have trouble trying to work out what our end goal could or should be?
Yeah, it's to me, I like to write everything on paper. That way, you don't have to mentally remember it. But it could very well be that you want to create choice in your life. So I mean, you might not be dead set on one end goal. you could explore and navigate. That's the great thing about. I mean, I got excited, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people, when they leave, they're angry, and I
Hmm.
mean, everybody goes through that. But I kind of got excited because I realized that I had so much life ahead of me. Like the
Yeah,
world's
yeah,
my playground. So it was almost exciting because I like to explore. I like to navigate. So um, I guess I like to dip my toes in the water that way,
yeah.
and try to come up with some end goals that I'd like to explore. And then if that roadmap to that one goal isn't really working out, or things change in my life that doesn't resonate with me anymore, then I have another option. So you don't have to be closed-minded onto one end goal. It's your time to explore the world, and but in exploring, you actually have a chance to find yourself and really, because you don't know who you are when you leave a high control organization. You just, it can be so overwhelming, and a
Mm,
feeling of being so lost. But so for me, I explored and different avenues, and different thoughts and different end games and end goals, and until I finally come up with after 4 years, my end goal that resonates with me now. Because you have so much changing to do, it's hard to really pinpoint right away what you want to do. So you got to give yourself some
yeah,
options, I think. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. You said you found writing them down very helpful.
Yeah.
Um, how thick did you end up with your book? How many things did you have written down in your book when you were going through?
Um, quite a bit. Like, I mean, my end goal really has always been uh, contentment and happiness, of course, and a
Yep.
stress-free life. I mean, that pretty much sums it up for everybody. But so that was my end goal. But I wrote a lot of things to, like, just anything that popped into my head. I would start writing down. So I mean, I got pages of different ideas, different thoughts, and then after you go back and you read them and you put them all together, and some might not fit in your life anymore. So, but it's good to have that. I mean, if you can go back and read, it's almost like taking notes at the convention. Like you go back, you can disregard some thoughts that don't resonate anymore, and then
Mm,
continue writing new thoughts. I mean, to me, it's a continuous thing. I love writing, so and Angela got me a nice book for writing down my thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. So which was really great. So I think it's a continuous thing.
yep. No, great. And you're still doing that now?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. More so now because I just the more and more I got away from it and started focusing on my life and leaving behind talking about it as much as I used to, and really focused on what I want in life. And so, and now I have so much more to write because my thoughts and my ideas are changing as to what I really want in life. And to be honest with you, I've been moving further and further away from the XJW life and really focusing on positivity
Great.
and my energy, and how I can
Yep.
help other people to realize that they have the power within themselves to create a life for themselves
Mm,
that is healthy and stress free, and so that's what I've been really working on and focusing on to help people that way.
cool. That's good. Okay, so we've looked at, writing things down, end goal. So say, for example, somebody that started to work on themselves, they're writing things down. What would you say the next step could be to be able to get on track in life?
Apply it. I find that if you can write as much things as you want and you can have a goal, but unless you start implementing those ideas and plans
Yep.
into your future, then that you're not going to go anywhere because, it's just thoughts until you put it into action. So just start navigating right away. Start getting out there and trying different things. For me, I found what opened up my eyes to a lot of things is, where am I going with this? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
You were thinking about the things that you did when you first got out. You started to explore and do different things.
Yeah. So I mean, you just get out. Oh, and reading books.
Okay.
I found that helped me so much, and because all we have in our head at that point is JW publications, propaganda.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so to kind of wash that out, all that brainwashing material, I started to input into my brain other information, other books, and not like just like a sci-fi book or a fantasy book. Stuff like information written by scientists and doctors, and really things that will help you get ahead in life. Like I read a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and just so many other books, like books on boundaries. Boundaries is a really good one,
Yep.
because when you come out of it, your boundaries are all over the place. You don't I mean, basically you don't have any.
Yeah.
In real life, you just, because you're like a duck out of water, almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one thing that really helped me to even put a really good roadmap together, is putting other information into my head, and really exploring that way. Because when you start filling your mind up with useful information that
Mhm.
will help you build better habits in your life on a day-to-day basis, and that helps you to start to make those changes that you want. If you get the proper information to help you build that roadmap, it's very important to explore other information and just get it right into your head.
When you think back all the books that you've read, what would be one of the best ones that really impacted you early on?
Actually, I honestly, I never really read. I had hard times getting into reading because
Yep.
I hated reading
Mm-hmm.
because of all the publications that were shoved down my nose. But the very first one I started reading was Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, yep. I've heard of
And
that.
yeah, and then the second one would have been a book called The Compound Effect. And that was a really great one, because that one really helped me to put things into perspective, as far as like when if you want to change your life, then you have to start making, like I said, those small consistent changes every day, and be consistent at it every day, so that you actually create that change instead of just thinking about it.
Yep.
And the other book I read was a book called The Go-Giver. And
Mm-hmm.
man, that was such a great little book, and it was a short book, but super powerful and effective. And we've always been taught to that it's better to give than to receive, but
Mm.
I
Yeah.
found in this book that's not the case, because we should also be willing to receive, because I feel that's the way the earth and the universe works, where it's a world full of giving and receiving, whether we see it or
Yep.
not. It's like, the trees and plant life, they give out oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
and we give them what they need for life, which is our carbon dioxide, right? Or
Yep.
monoxide or whatever, and they give us in return the oxygen that we need. So it's a continuous cycle of giving and receiving. So we have to be open to receiving as well.
Very true.
So
Okay, good.
these are books that really input things into my head that really help me get started along the way, and into a healthy path of um, building my life, instead of going into the self-destruct mode like a lot of people do.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not much fun.
No,
Spiraling
it's not
down
at
out
all.
of control and
Yeah.
total different changes in our lives.
Yeah, it's very important to figure out as soon as you can to take back that control, in your life, because if we continue to focus on that negative, we'll never get out of that rut, you know. And
Yep.
so it's very important to start filling your head with positive information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So those were a couple of good. I should write those down. um, I'll have to listen back to it so we can put the links into the description and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll
So,
send you the books that I'm reading right now too.
oh, that'd be good. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Because the more input we get in there, like you said, get that J-dub thinking, the propaganda, the indoctrination out of our heads is important.
Yeah. 100%. And another thing that's helped me along the way, and
mm-hmm.
is my wife Angela. She has never been religious whatsoever, and
Okay. Yep.
you know, so getting perspective and actually listening to other people who have never been,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of led a, you know, somewhat normal life, I guess. But that's important too, to actually just talk and listen to people. And she's given me, she's helped me out so much in perspective, you know. In a lot of cases, the things that she told me probably would have started a fight,
Oh, really?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, if I wasn't open to change, you
Yeah.
know. And if you're closed minded, then if anybody gives you perspective or gives you what their true thoughts are, you have to open your ears up and shut your mouth and just listen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And consider it. I consider everything constructive criticism, and I welcome that into my life, because without it,
Yep.
you know, and instead of taking offense to things, just listen. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then don't do it. But it's very
Mm-hmm.
important to keep an open mind. If you truly want to change, then that's a big deal, you know, getting other people's perspective, and especially other people who haven't been in the religion. You know, if you want to become part of the world, well, talk to different people in the world, you know. And she also, with her courses, you know, she's a holistic nutritionist, and she's
Yep.
also a yoga teacher as well. So, you know, those things opened my eyes in exploring. This was my exploring days, you know. And you know, those things really resonated with me, because I do believe in you know, that everything is energy.
Yeah.
And so when we're dealing with yoga, and I was so intrigued with it, because that's one thing that we've always been taught that we have
Yeah.
to avoid, you know. So I'm like, well, I'm going to dive in here and see what this is all about. And with the extensive training that she had, I got to be involved with a lot of that. So it really opened my eyes up to really what it was, and how much lies we've been told about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened my, you know, just being open-minded about that stuff. And then through that, we're learning about our energy centers, and how we can um, create change in our lives.
Yep.
And we have to get out of our own way, because the biggest obstacles we face in life is ourselves. And in a lifetime of brainwashing and lies in a high control organization, you are then your biggest obstacle, because you have a lot of unlearning to do.
That's so very true. I was going to
Yeah.
ask you before you went on to the yoga side of things, because yeah, you're right. We're encouraged to do that sort of thing. If somebody has come across yoga or something else, what would your encouragement be to them? They've come out, they're starting to move forward, and then they come across somebody might invite them to yoga. Do we put our big toe
Um,
in? Do we jump
yeah.
in full bore, or
Well, I wouldn't say jump in full, but I mean, I would say really keep your heart and your mind open, because what
right?
happens at that point in time, you're automatically triggered, because you've been taught your whole life. It's in deep seated in your brain that this is something that's wrong, and then all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden you start to feel guilty and shame, because you want to try it. And this
Yep.
is what I'm learning through yoga as well, is in your first three chakras, your energy centers. This is where the blockages happen. In your second chakra, is the guilt and the shame and the fear and things like that. So when you get you have to, when you feel yourself being triggered and you start to want to back out, ask yourself why am I being triggered? And the answer is because I've been told
Yeah.
that this is wrong. So once you get past that and you learn to let it go and leave that in the past,
Yep.
because you've been told by people that you no longer trust. So that should give you an easy out to go explore and to dip your feet in, and then the more you get into it, if you like it, some people don't like it, and that's fine. Look for something else, but at least you can say you tried.
Yeah.
You know, so but I encourage anybody to try it, because it really helps you connect your energy, your body, your mind, and your heart. And once you have all those aligned, um, you know, life does get easier. So I recommend it to anybody. It's helped me immensely to really get the junk out of my mind and, you know, let it go and move on from my past. Because if we continuously have those triggers from our past, we really got to dig deep
Yeah.
and ask ourselves why we're still holding on to that. And what happens in that moment is a chemical reaction in your body of emotions, energy and motion, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
and that yeah. So it's really about being mindful about those things, and really ask yourself why you're being triggered and why you're scared. And then once you have that
mm,
answer and realize that it's because of everything that we've been taught, then
yeah.
we should be able to easier and easier let it go, because of the source. We realize the source is something we no longer believe in.
Yep. Cool. Okay,
Yeah,
so those are some of the things so far. So we've had. I've actually started writing notes today, so I don't have to remember. Have the end goal in mind.
yeah,
Um, start writing things down. Open
yeah.
our minds, the books we read, what we listen to, what we watch. Um, I have to read my handwriting. Oh, listen and talk to others. um, so those are good starts.
hmm
What would be a next step?
Your next step, I think, is very important, and I know this should be an easy one for us because it's been beaten in our head by, I think
Yeah.
it was First Corinthians 15:33 was
Oh, yeah.
association. and and and
Association. Yep.
and to me that is a huge key in, you know, if you have an end goal of living a positive life,
Hmm.
and you just can't seem to get there, you really got to look at your association and what the people around you, how their lifestyle is. Do you want to be that in 10 years? You know, you got to look down the road. Is that, you know, the people that you're hanging out with, do they have a life that you want to
Mm.
be living in 10 years? Because if you continue to associate, I mean, to me, I never give up on anybody, but you can limit your association with people that have that negative attitude, that every topic that you talk about is just a downward
Yeah.
spiral to negative things, and it never changes. So this is where you really have to really be careful, because you're gonna, it doesn't matter how positive you are. If you continue to hang around with negative people, that's just going
Mm,
to
mm.
follow you. You know, that's just going to be how you are. So if you limit your association and start to look for more people that have fruit on their trees, I guess, as to having a life that you would want to achieve. And this is where I'm at now. Like, I like to be around people that have achieved the goals that I want
Hmm.
in my life of positivity. And so then when you surround yourself with those people, you pick up on their habits. They, you know, you basically learn from them. How did you create this life? How do you continuously have positivity in your life? So you start to learn from these other people, and then you start to attract those things into your life. And you know, it's like, again, keeping an open mind to really search out those people that have the things that you want in life. And so association is huge, and that is a trigger for, it was a trigger for me, you know, like talking about, oh, bad association, but it is still true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When you think about, and we're not talking on money, but those guys that associate with those people, they raise their level of income.
that's correct. Yep.
So when we think about association, you mentioned you want people around you that you look at their lives and you think they're great. How do
Yeah.
we go through the process of trying to work out, now, what do I want in my life to reach the end goal?
How do we work that out? Well, I mean, it took, honestly, it took me 4 years. So it
Okay.
is quite a journey. So I guess in exploring different things in life that we have always been held back in. Once you navigate through those things and kind of, you find your groove and you find your path.
Mm,
And so I guess it's, to me, it's all about that exploring the world and trying different things. Try so many things that you have never tried before, because you either were told that you can't, you feel guilty about it, and try those things, because if you don't know, you don't know. And then if you don't try those things, you'll never be educated on whether you like them or not. So in that, when you do that, you start to build up, you know, you start to find things that you enjoy more than others, and then your end goals might change.
yeah.
And so it's all about that taking that time to explore and trying everything that you have never tried before, and that will open up your mind to something that you might like, that you never thought you would. Like for me, I never thought I would like yoga, and I'm I'm all for it, you know. So you just never know what pops up in your life by trying things, and really getting that out of your head, what's been taught to you that you shouldn't try those things, you know. Just get that out of your head and leave it behind and explore. And if you're scared to try it, that's a really good sign, because on the other side of
Okay.
fear is courage, you know.
Yep. Yep.
So to me, I'm a big firm believer in when you're faced with a choice, or you're faced walking through a door and there's a big sign on it that says fear, and you're scared to do it, I would say go ahead and do it. That is a great sign to walk through that door, because
Okay.
if you don't open it, you never know. But usually when you walk through that fear, it's always better on the other side to get through that and push your boundaries, push yourself. That's what I tried to do.
Cool. Yeah, because a lot
Yeah,
of people are fearful.
yeah, absolutely, they are. And to me, if you find yourself fearing something, again, ask yourself why, and really meditate
Mm,
on what is the root cause of that fear. Where is it
yep.
stemming from? Because if you can't find the roots of the problems, they'll always keep popping up, and unless you face them and just work through it. And because, yeah, if you leave those roots in the ground, well, like I say, they're always going to come up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the next step, what do you reckon would be? So we've had association, we've
Yeah.
the fear side of
Um,
things, working through that door, walking through that door.
yeah. So now what's happening is you're starting to actually have some roads that you've walked down. So um, when you explore and you find that one thing that you love, that one or two things that you love and that you want to accomplish in your life, then you have a clear roadmap, you have a destination. And 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 that way, now the step is to start making those changes in your life to support that end goal, and that way it keeps you on the path for the most part. I mean, there's always something, I think, that's always going to try to take you off the road that you're creating, but those are obstacles that I'm a firm believer in. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
You know, so if you think it's impossible, it probably will be. If you tell yourself that you can't, I believe you. Whether you think
Yep.
you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. You know, so I'm a firm believer in really putting it into my mind that nothing is impossible. And when you think something is impossible, again, ask yourself why. And if somebody else did it, why can't I? You know, so it's not impossible. So I like to challenge myself that way. And my encouragement is, when you find that destination where you want to be, always challenge
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because it's,
Yep.
I don't think any road's going to be easy, especially after a lifetime of indoctrination. But like I say, it's always scary and fearful to try those things. To,
Mm.
you know, when you're trying to get to your destination, something might pop up that triggers you, and it's like, oh geez, I don't know if I should do this, but that's a roadblock to your destination. So it's very, very important to find the roots of those triggers and pull them out and forge forward and get out of your own way. Because like I say, we're the ones that stand in our own way. We're the obstacles that keep us from our destination. So it I encourage everybody to push through that, and really dig deep into your mind, as to what's holding you back, what's triggering you. And that's what I love about yoga too, because it teaches you to be mindful and meditate on those things, so that you can
Yep.
be mindful and be open to face those fears and create that
Yeah.
change to get to your final destination. So yeah, exploring, find out what you like, create a destination, and then keep just create that road, make your own road, you know.
Yeah.
That's
So
yeah.
just going back a little bit, looking at yourself, how long did
Yep.
it take you to go from the JW type thinking to where you are now?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. And
Yep.
would you say you've worked at that consistently?
Yes, very much. The first three, well, the first three, all 3.5 years was tough. It was so tough because it was just, I mean, you step into a world that you're not equipped to deal with. So I mean, that's scary in itself. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you really don't know. You're lost. You don't know. Um, so in those 3.5 years, one big thing for me that always held me back was, I I was a heavy drinker,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just got mad enough at myself to ask myself why I kept doing this to myself and to my body. And I look back at my life, and it all stemmed from having to deal with, you try to find ways to numb that pain of, because
Mm.
when you're out and you still believe, it's such mental torture,
Yep.
and it's driven into your head that without this organization you're going to be nothing. You're going to become an alcoholic. You're going to turn to drugs. and
Mm-hmm.
and what I recognized in myself is I was becoming the very person they said I was going to be.
Mm.
And then I'm like, holy crap, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. Why would I let these guys win? Like, why am I becoming the person they said I would be? So that really sparked a change in me, and really helped me to push my boundaries and explore the things that they would have told me I shouldn't do. And then of course on the other side of it, you have your friends and family that they're weaponizing against you, telling you the same things.
Yep.
Well, if you stop these things, then you can have us back. Emotional blackmail at its finest.
Yeah.
And so those are the mental roadblocks that I really had to push through. And I come to the realization that, my friends and family are victims of a high control society, and I am a
Yeah.
survivor, awakened, and I'm a victor. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a victor. and that helped me to understand that they are victims. They just don't realize it. So that
Yeah.
really helped me to push forward. And at that stage of the game, I already was woken up and I knew it wasn't truth. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to go for it. There's nothing I can do at this moment to get my family back. So I have to focus on myself. I have to stop worrying about everybody else, because that's another thing that will hold you back from moving towards your destination. Holding on to those things that you cannot change. Um, and that's where I really started to thrive in opening up my mind. And then after I quit drinking, man, my head just changed. Like I just had so much energy and such a zest for life at that point.
Yep.
And I realized, that's when I realized, when I stopped poisoning my mind and my body with, and I also I stopped watching the news. I stopped listening
Okay.
to the radio. You know, that was a very good turning point for me, is when I stopped watching the news. And I eliminated more and more negativity out of my life. And it allowed me to focus on my energy and my mental health. Because when I was watching the news all the time, I meant, your mental health goes down as well, because all you input into your mind is all that negative crap that's going on in
Mm.
the world. I'm a firm believer that I can create a life for myself that isn't negative, and that's turning out to be the case. And I've just been eliminating all negativity from my life, and that's when things really started to change. And now, things are just moving forward at an exponential rate. Between Angela and I, and we're really focused on our future, our goal, and our careers, and creating a life for us that we want, and keeping the things out of our life that don't belong there.
Has that been hard to work through the
Yeah.
negative, you say, like the news and things like that?
It was hard at first, because it's a habit, right? It's a habit that you have. You get up in the morning, you have coffee, turn the 6 o'clock news, and it's a habit. So it's just like I said, small consistent changes. So every morning I'd try something different. I started reading in the morning, of like the books that input positive information and useful information, that things that I could change my life with. And so I started changing my habits. Instead of turning on the
Yeah.
news, I would pick up a good informative book, and then I just continue doing that. So is it hard at first? Yes, because when you have something, a habit that's just muscle memory, you just do it, right, every morning. And when I started to make that change, then it was just easier and easier to make other changes in my life. And once you understand that, if you just practice it every day, it does get easier and easier and easier. Yes, it is hard at first, for sure, especially when you're quitting an addiction. That's the change of mind that is the hardest, I think, is taking away the thing that you're used to consoling you in your life. You're used to
Yeah.
numbing that pain, but your want to be greater or better has to be greater than your want to stay the same. Like, if you want to stay the same in that negativity, then your life is always going to be like that, until you start making even just one small change in your life. It could make the world of difference. And that's what
Yeah.
happened to me when I started reading instead of watching the news. So it's just those small little changes every day.
Yep. So does that include the things you watch as well? Say
Yeah,
on the TV?
absolutely. Yeah, I actually, because it really took a look at the content that we were watching. And
Mm.
if it didn't add any value or any positive information, that could help change our lives, then I started eliminating those things. Like, sitcoms are fun and entertaining, and I do think there is value in
Yep.
watching something that's entertainment, because you do need to shut your brain off and enjoy your time as well. But for the, like 20%, but the other 80% of the time, I really focused on watching shows that are inspirational, watching shows that are changing people's lives, watching shows that are informative, like Gaia TV.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, yeah, and the very things that challenged my mind to think differently, to explore
Yep.
what's out there in the world, and also from a scientific point of view. It's just it was so great to make those changes, and instead of watching like the Real Housewives of New York, or one of those reality shows. I guess it's the reality shows that can really become addictive. Like there's a couple that I watch because I find it, with the NLP training there.
Yep.
I find it very interesting to watch shows like Big Brother, because then you actually physically see um,
Yeah.
people, and how they lie to each other, and how people deal with stress. And I think that's great training, to see how they change when the cortisol levels rise in their body and they're dealing with stress. So I find that very useful in training my mind to see, in my life, when people are starting to deal with stress,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then really try to help them see things from a different point of view. And so yeah, so reality TV, I eliminated most of that, and then I started watching things like Gaia TV, and useful information of things that are just coming to light in the world, of all these scientific discoveries, and
Mm.
the way the earth works, the way our minds work. It's just so fascinating to me, and those are the things that help me to grow as a person, as opposed to staying stagnant in life, and just inputting your mind with useless information that's not going to
Yep.
benefit you in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we've covered a lot
Yeah.
in the short period of time.
Yeah.
But you've put out some very practical suggestions and ideas out there. If somebody still struggles, though, to work through what they want, what would your encouragement be?
I would encourage them to seek out people that only speak positive in their posts, in their videos, and really seek out those people that seem to have that part of their life together,
Yep.
that are encouraging other people to be better, and to explore, and to change their lives for the better. And so when you see people making positive posts, and get out of the groups that are always negative, and then really seek out the people that have changed in their lives, and that
Mm.
have fruit bearing trees, that have actually accomplished reprogramming their mind to positivity and to the real world, really. And so yeah, I would seek out those people and start asking them questions as to, how did you do this? And that way you begin to have information from other people that have accomplished it. And that way you have a better chance at getting guidance, and
Yeah.
possibly a mentorship on how to accomplish that. That will fast track you into reaching your destination of contentment and of happiness. So it's very important to talk to people that have achieved the goals that you want to.
If somebody was to approach you, or anybody, do you think they would be offended if you were to
I
ask them, well, how did you do that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, as far as somebody asking somebody who's achieved the goals, do you think, like, if
Yeah.
somebody asked me, would
Yeah.
I be offended? Absolutely not. I encourage that. I encourage anybody to, and I think everybody has to keep an open mind. You know, especially the person that's being asked. Like if somebody were to ask me, I can't bring myself to be offended at anything, because then you close your mind off to things. You have to always continuously to keep your mind open. And if somebody's asking you a question, well, be honest and answer, and just if you truly want to help somebody out, you shouldn't get offended, because that's just going to stop them from wanting to ask anybody else, or stop them from wanting to ask you more questions. So you always have to go about it in a kind, loving, compassionate manner, because obviously these people are searching for something greater in their life. So if somebody asks me, I'm going to deliver. I would be so open to talking to anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So just on the other side of that then, if somebody is so shy, they don't like asking questions, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I was kind of like that too. So, yeah, I was always super shy, and to get past that was pretty tough. But how do you bring somebody out of their comfort zone? I would. I think with technology today, like you can say more of what you want to say through like a messenger or a text message or things like that, as opposed to face to face. So it's easier for me, if you're a shy person, just to break that ice through a direct message on whatever platform you're on, and that way it's easier to break that ice and break into that conversation. Then it would lead to more of a comfortable position if you wanted to talk face to face on a call or something like that. So I think using like direct message, I think you can say more as a shy person than you normally would face to face.
Cool. Yeah. And all those things are going to help us break down the roadblocks to
100%.
keep on our the map that we're writing out for ourselves.
Yeah, 100% it will. Yeah.
Well, I really want to say thank you very much for being here. The things you've highlighted, I'll just go back to my notes. The end game, writing that down, writing things down that we may not have even thought of, looking at the books we're reading, listening and talking to individuals, our associations. And one of the things I was really fascinated you said was, if it's triggering us, ask us why.
Yep.
So we really appreciated you being here and talking about those things. If somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to touch base with you?
Facebook is usually the quickest, and if I don't get back right away, like I do have a fairly busy schedule, but
Yep.
I do encourage anybody to reach out to me. Facebook, Twitter, that would be the two best ways. Facebook for sure, and I will get back to you if you have any questions. 100%. I love helping people to see the positive in life.
Right.
And life is such a great thing, and I'm super excited for the future. Yeah. And I encourage anybody to reach out. I would love to help you to build that roadmap and to work through those issues of whatever it is, shyness or whatever roadblocks you're stuck on. 100%. Yeah, Facebook for sure.
What's your Twitter handle or whatever they call it?
It's at Lee Manzer, and it's witness this.
Witness this.
Witness this.
Alrighty, so folks, if you want to reach out to Lee, we'll make sure we put the link to his Facebook page, and I will track down and write it correctly for the tweets and the Twitters and whatnot. And once again, thanks for being here, Lee. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward to catching up again. But for those on the live stream and those ones who are going to watch later on, please, roadmaps are there to help you, to give you a life that you can enjoy and be happy with. So take hold of the opportunity. Been some very practical aids here. And we really want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the community where we're here to support you reach your goals. In the meantime, until next time, we'll catch you Have a great day, great evening, wherever you may be. Enjoy your life and keep smiling. Catch you next time.
See you
Bye.
later.